Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile update for you guys. This time it's on my Endymion Pendulum deck. This is pure Endymion, just letting you guys know. So this deck surprisingly hasn't seen too much representation through this current meta because, Spirals are taking over. Drawing Lockward is such a heavy used hand trap that's, like, again, a lot of decks are kind of using this now, even in their main or their side decks. But, yeah, and plus Electrumite is banned currently, so, which honestly is really sad considering that this deck um, really liked using Electrumite, and I never really thought that card was ban worthy, but it is what it is. Now, even though with Electrumite gone, the deck can still pump out plenty of negates. It can do some really formidable boards, especially if you know what you're doing. Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic, is a crazy boss monster, considering that it can negate spells and traps. So, yeah, it's like Endymions can still do quite a bit. Even with one servant, you still have access to it. So you just gotta know how to start things off and all that good stuff. Now, sadly, the deck can't really utilize the Guard Dragon package as much as it used to, because again, Electrumite was kind of the card that helped it set it off, but now it's gone. So you're kind of limited to how you want to do things. But again, the deck can still do plenty. You just got to know what to do from there. All right, so let's go and get started. My deck's 40 cards, so starting off with 3 copies of Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. I still love playing this card. This card can clear boards essentially, and honestly, it's a little easier now since there's not too many monsters that have built-in protection. But just keep that in mind. They still exist, so you just got to watch out for spirals, because spirals can definitely disrupt you at any given time. But if you can manage to set up a board against them where they can't really break your board, it can be kind of tricky for them. 3 Reflection of Endymion. It's basically a compulsory evacuation device, but I generally still like to use it because it's a level 7. It helps you get into easy access into Oddie's Absolute Dragon, and so on. So, Reflection, definitely an amazing starter if you can have access to it, and the fact she has a really low scale, that definitely works. I decided to cut Magister to 1 just because, I didn't really like seeing it too much. If anything, I'd rather see Servant of Endymion more, but I think 1 Magister is more than enough. And of course, the 1 Servant, since she's limited now. Um, Still a really good card to use, especially she gives you instant access to your Jackal King, and you definitely need to turbo out that Jackal King as soon as you can, so that way you can protect yourself from hand traps. Because the deck can still play around hand traps, but if your opponent can time their hand traps just right, it can be kind of tricky. So just letting you guys know that now. All right, next up, 3 copies of Magical Abductor. This is basically one of your main starters. I always like to put her on my Pendulum scale, just because she's like a close second to Servant. She searches out any Pendulum monster, so just build up 3 spell counters, remove them, and then search it out. And it's a soft once per turn, so you can actually get multiple copies going and so on. Now, her monster effect is also pretty nice too. Each time a spell counter is activated, you place a spell counter on this, and you can give this card 100 attack points for each spell counter she has. And of course, you remove 3, add 1 level 1 spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand. So it does give you access to one of your mythical beast monsters. So we'll get to that momentarily. All right, next up, I'm playing the mythical beast package. 3 Master Cerberus. Definitely a good way just to get access to your mythical beast monsters like Garuda, Basilisk, or even your mythical beast Jackal. Not Jackal King, of course, but we still do run the Jackal King. Obviously, it's your main negator, so you definitely want to make full use of this. 1 Garuda, so this bounces back monsters, so definitely something to look into. Finally found my copy of Basilisk. It's just for draw power, but definitely a great one to work with. 1 Mythical Beast Jackal. This card gives you instant access to one of your Mythical Beast monsters as well, so definitely something to look into. It's a pretty good normal summon, so definitely something to try out. I wanted to run more, but I didn't have the room, so I think 1 is more than enough, honestly, especially because, like I said, it's searchable through Magical Abductor anyway, both the Pendulum and the monster effect, so yeah, there's plenty of ways to get access to this card. Alright, next up, running 3 copies of Chronograph Sorcerer. I still like to utilize this. They're free level 6 monsters, and they give you instant access to Norito. And of course, just as an extender, I'm running Time Gazer Magician. The fact that Chronograph summons it for free, that's one of the reasons why I'm going this route. I'm also running a small spellbook package. I'm just running 1 of each. Blue Boy, 1 Secrets, and 1 Knowledge. As long as you can get one of these off Crowley's effect, you'll be golden, really. I mean, there's nothing else to say about that, so I might put in 1 more copy of Secrets, but generally, yeah, you just need 1 of each because Crowley's so easy to make, and most of the time when I do use the Crowley effect, I always either get Blue Boy or even secrets. And if I get knowledge, that's fine. I do have ways to like still get a spellcaster out. So yeah, it's not the end of the world with that. All right, so moving on. Next up, running 3 copies of Spell Power Mastery. This basically gives you instant access to any of your Endymion cards. The one you generally want to try to get access to is Servant of Endymion, but of course you open it with, well, if you already opened up with Servant, then that's perfect. You know, you can search out whatever other Endymions you want and build up your spell counters. 3 Mythical Institution, just to give you access to more of your Mythical Beast cards. 3 Called by the Grave, since Drone Lockbird is so good this format, same with Ghost Ogre, so generally want to be able to play around that, and plus their spells, so if you already have like the right cards in your Pendulum zone, that could just be helpful. Double Desires, you know, I didn't feel like 3 was needed. I'm running 1 Citadel. I was running 2. I could probably bump back up later, but I think 1 is just fine. 1 Terraforming, and last but not least, Upstart Goblin. And that's it for the main deck. Alright, for the extra deck, I made some slight adjustments. Of course, I'm still running Crowley. Like I said, gives you access to your spellbook cards. 1 Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior, just as a good link too for this deck. Beat Cop, generic link too, and some other generic cards like Phoenix, Cerberus, and Unicorn, you know, spot removal. Of course, I'm still running Triple Burst Dragon, you know, he negates, so yeah, definitely something I like to use. 1 Zephyr Metaltron, which also searches out your Pendulum cards. If any of them it points to gets destroyed or something. Borreload Dragon, Boral Sword Dragon, you know, these are generically good link 4s. Borreload is really good right now, especially against the Spiral matchup, since Spiral Sleeper can't target it, and you could just basically steal that card. Next, 1 Appaloosa. Just, you know, it's really easy to bring this card out still, so I make it whenever I can, so definitely comes in clutch. For some Xyz monsters, I'm running a Bish Dweller, Norito, and of course, gotta run the Absolute Dragon together with the Vortex Dragon. And that's generally it. Not really much else to say about these. By now, everyone should already know what all these cards do, so yeah. Alright, now moving on to the side deck. For back row heavy strategies, running Denko Sika still. It's a level 4 monster, very easy to Pendulum summon out if you need to. Or you could just normal summon her and just get your combos going. 3 Dark Ruler No More for combo heavy decks. Cosmic Cyclone. I'm running the Secret Village of Spellcasters on the side together with Set Rotation. Definitely good against decks that are like very spell reliant but don't really run too many spellcasters. So yeah. Now of course we do have Shaddolls, so Shaddolls are spellcasters, so just be on watchful eye for that. Especially the Invoke Shaddolls, so yeah, like not a good card against that, to be honest. But against cards, well, against decks like the Orcus, you know, they don't run spellcasters or Cyber Dragons. I heard Cyber Dragons are becoming really good. Definitely don't want those the machine duplications to set off, so yeah. And if for like any decks that don't even play spellcasters at all, but do like to run cards like Super Poly, well, they can't activate Super Poly. So yeah. And last but not least, Royal Decree. You know, gotta stop trap cards. Don't really Pendulums don't like traps, so yeah. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys again next time.